Veil is thin.
No, it's not.
Yes it is. No it's not.
The veil doesn't exist.
The veil is thick as shit.
Hello. Welcome back to It's Queer Magic. I'm Kirbo, and I've been channeling, doing my readings, doing my work in this room for a while now. So you might get the silliest version of me, or you might not. I don't know, no guarantees. But I wanted to hop on and make a video because there's a break in the alphabet superset next week. I am going to move that break to this week and talk about H next week. But I still wanted to talk about something. And you know what's on my mind and what's on the internet's mind is speaking about the thinning of the veil and whether or not that is a thing. And I don't have a serious opinion. This isn't a serious video. So, relax. But I did want to talk about my perspective. So, if you don't know, the thinning of the veil is something that refers to a point throughout the wheel of the year, or 2 points throughout the wheel of the year, where the veil, which is said to separate the spirit world and the human world, the physical world, throughout the year, and that veil at those 2 points at Samhain and at Beltane, or Halloween and summertime, that it gets thin at that point and that there's more access, that the spirits are here, they're closer, they're available, it's like the only time of the year, like that they are close. So what has happened online with the discourse is that someone has shared a whole lot of really thought out, well-researched information and history about how this is not a topic or an idea that exists really in Celtic culture and Celtic magical practices, Celtic pagan practices, and actually came about and is most often referred to by the spiritualists of the early 19th century. 19th century? 19th century? 1800s? 1900s? Google that. And I agree. The spiritualists did definitely take a lot of things from a lot of places, mash it all together, and make something still rooted in Christianity that has been absolutely useful for a lot of people and also absolutely harmful for a lot of people. And that's just the way it goes. It started with the French, with Alan Kardec, which is a fake name, I believe. And this is a little off topic, but if you read Alan Kardec's books, like the Spirits book, he's talking to these mediums, right? He's talking to people who are channeling spirits. And if you actually read the transcript of what the spirit says, it vastly differs from the conclusion that this man came to from what the spirits were saying. They would be like,
Hey, that's sort of not important. We're talking to you in these terms because it's what you understand, not because the Christian God is the only God. You're here, you're talking to me, we're trying to have a conversation.
And he was like,
The spirit's definitely agree.
And that is just an example. That's not exactly what happened, but I urge you to read the transcripts of the medium and actually his little conclusion essays, because I'm where did you get that from? I think it's a valuable book. There's a lot of wonderful, fun things in there that are worth chewing over. And I don't think that spiritism, as opposed to spiritualism, is invalid or not useful, because it is a set of tools that is very valuable with you contacting the spirit world, with having a spirit work practice, and something that it can cross cultural lines and it's not rooted in anybody's culture, and is not going to be appropriative, and it's a good way to connect with the spirits if you are disconnected from your own cultural heritage, and is in fact the way that I learned how to engage with spirits on my own terms, because I am a person of mixed experience and was separated from a lot of different cultures growing up, separated from a lot of my cultures growing up, and even the ones I was exposed to was a very early age, and I didn't have a lot of access. So this was the way that I accessed it. That all being said, is that's where this idea comes from. And this person was like, listen, it's not Celtic. And I think that that's fair. Let's just have a moment and say, it is very important to separate fact from non-fact when we are making an effort to preserve something that is on the verge of being erased, that is on the verge of disappearing, of not having access to the truth of what ancient Celtic people engaged in, and all the way to the point of modern Celtic people engaging in it. Like, it's good and not bad that person brought up this information. And I don't think by any means they were trying to say that any other culture's experience of the dead and engaging with the dead during this time of year was invalid or had anything to do with what they were saying, because what they were just trying to refute is that the phrase, the veil is thinning, was sort of just not Celtic. And I think that that's fair, right? I think that's fine. From my personal experience, they're not wrong. The veil, it doesn't get thicker. It doesn't get thicker. It never gets thicker. And because of that, it doesn't get thinner. But also, the veil is not a like thing that exists, right? It's not like a thing out there, or like a coating or a fluid that exists that separates humans, physical, alive humans, from the spirit world. It is a veil of perception. It is our ability to sort of be like, nope, and not experience it. And that's the same thing, right? When we speak about how everyone has the ability to speak to spirits. You just have to practice. Some people are born better than others, just like singing and dancing and whatever, but we all still have to like learn, right? And you can work on your gifts, you can grow into them, and you can use them. It's the same idea. The spirits aren't ever unreachable. They're not unreachable. And there are a lot of really, for me personally, really active times of the year that are nowhere near the thin times, right? People say that it is Samhain and on the other end, Beltane. And for me, I experience way more spiritual activity at Yule, to be quite frank, and at Ostara. So in the winter and in December around Christmas time, and also in the spring, that's where it's really active for me personally. And so there's just no reason to say that this one thing or this one concept is like true for everybody all around. That's just like not useful, and also like doesn't matter. Not to say that it doesn't matter to make it known that that's not, like, we're saying it's of Celtic origin and it isn't. I feel like if someone's making an effort to clear up a misconception, especially in an effort to preserve a disappearing cultural practice, something that has actively been attacked and diminished, I think that that's something they should do, right? That's good. We're trying to preserve things here. That's good. And I think that it's no harm to be like, the veil is thin. That's fine. Because also, when we're engaging with spirits, a schedule is super helpful. A schedule is super helpful. If you're consistent and you're like, every Saturday night, I sit down and I channel, and you do that over and over again, they're going to come to you every Saturday night because they know, right? They're ready. You have an agreement, you have a conversation, you have a language you're sharing, and it's something that we do at that point in time. And so if we've been like experiencing this perspective shift around Halloween, around Samhain, where we're like, this is where we celebrate the ancestors, or this is when we're celebrating ghosts and spooky things, even to separate that from other practices, then it makes sense that we are going to experience them more because we have our perception piercing through the veil on purpose, right? Peering through the veil on purpose. And it gets lifted, right? I don't think there's like a permanent lifting of the veil that is necessary or important, because I think that this world is built this way for a reason, and humanity is not everybody is meant to just be walking around with complete perception of all the different dimensions and realities on top of each other. That sounds hard, and that sounds like a headache. Not for me. And I just think that like outside of that, it sort of doesn't matter. Like, if you want to keep practicing with the perspective that at Halloween that the veil is thin, then you can keep doing that. And it will continue to work for you. You will experience more spirits. You will experience more otherworldly, invisible world things happening because you're looking for it, because your attention is on it. But again, the veil isn't physical. It's a veil of perception. It's about whether or not you're perceiving this. And when we intend to perceive, like we have been doing so long at this particular time of year, you're going to perceive. And the person sharing was not trying to like diminish the cultural connection to that time of year for a lot of cultures around the world who celebrate their dead at that time. But just trying to say it's not Celtic, like that's okay. And that's okay. And I think that, again, I think there is something seasonal. I think there is something seasonal about the ancestors in particular, not just of spirits, but of the ancestors. And I think that, yes, they are contactable and interactable and present and close to us all year round. But because of all of these years and years and years of people looking to them to celebrate them this time of year, then they're always going to be close. Like, yeah, I come hang out all the time, but I'm definitely not going to miss my birthday party. Like, I'm definitely going to be there early. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing. And all of these cultures did not believe that they were completely uncontactable unless it was the end of fall, right? Like, we get that, right? We have to get that. That it was not every culture who celebrates their dead at the end of fall or in this season at all, where like, that's it. Take the ancestor altar down. These are people who were venerating, celebrating, communing with their ancestors all year. It just is, this is their feast. This is their time. And so, again, this is not a serious video because I think it doesn't matter. I think that if you want to really practice with your idea that the veil is thin, sure. But I think it's also important to not make a connection to something that there's no connection to. Like, it doesn't have to be Celtic for it to be part of your practice. And, again, the veil is thinnable at any point throughout the year. Quite frankly, I have to put up so many more wards during Christmas time, during Yule time, during December. So much more. Because the stuff that's hanging around is like scarier, in my opinion. Like, there's a lot of wild, scary things happening that I don't want in my home or around me that I don't have to deal with at Halloween because they're just not here. So, yeah. Was there a version of me in the past who argued this and got a little heated? Maybe.
But we don't know them. I don't know them. I don't associate with them. They're not here anymore. That is a version of me that is dead and gone.
You know, gonna give excuses, but it's like, whatever. But like, yeah, maybe I was experiencing autistic burnout. Maybe it was my first one. And maybe I was super heated and defensive online. Okay? Sorry.
I'm not like that anymore.
Especially not about a topic that is just has no impact on my life. Like, I don't want to diminish this. If this is important for you, that's what I want to say. If this is important for you, that's okay for it to be important for you. It can continue to be important for you. But just because it's important for you doesn't mean it needs to be the way that anybody else operates, right? It can be important for you that the veil is thin this time of year because you are not someone who wants to engage with spirits all the time, and that's okay. But I'm telling you, there's some beautiful energies that exist that actually aren't typically hanging around in the fall. In the spring, you're going to be encountering spirits that are different because some spirits do travel and they're not bound by our time, but they do sort of have a pattern. They have a schedule. They have ancient routes through which they walk, on which they've walked forever. And they're going to continue to do that as long as they can. And that means that sometimes they're in our world or in our timeline or in our dimension around the summer or the spring. And sometimes they're just not here other times of the year. It doesn't mean that the veil is thin. It just means that the ancestors know when their holiday is and they're going to roll up for it because why would you miss your own party? Okay. Anyways, I've left out everybody's names on purpose because, again, I'm not trying to get involved. I just thought it would be fun to talk about because, again, I've been in this office all day long. Not all day, but for a few hours channeling and doing tarot readings. So I just was in the mood and here we are. Thanks so much for hanging around. I hope you liked my silly little discussion. If you're a patron, come close. love you. Thank you so much. You make this channel possible. You make literally so many things possible, and I can't wait to hang out with you more in November. We're doing the tarot study. The tarot studies are back. We're heading into the pages. The pages. And we've got ancestor meditation this month. We are doing the tarot parlor where you can come get your free will readings. It's going to be a wonderful November. So thank you so much to my patrons. If you want to be a patron, you know where all the links live. Come check it out and see if it's up to you. See if it's interesting for you. And yeah, thanks. Have an amazing, I hope you had such a wonderful thin veil ass Halloween, okay? Bye.